We didn't come this far to slow down now. Let 2021 be the year that you light up, that you wake up, that you shake up that special something in your soul, that you reach out and work for that health, that life, that vibrant living you know is possible. Let this be the year. Let this be the day. Let this be the moment that you believe in miracles again.
Hey everybody, it is Dr. Devin and I am here with my for real, ride or die, best friend ever from birth to beyond. My best friend, Dr. Hali Banda.
Hi.
This is my sister, my partner in chiropractic. We're side-by-side sister locations in Wichita, Kansas. And I'm inviting her today to share with all of you some big ideas and some conversations specifically around birth and babies and pregnancy, because I have 5 babies. You have?
I have 4, but 5 pregnancies. I was a surrogate.
Yes. So I won't say we're experts, but we're freaking experts on, at least we have our own expertise of experience that we've been through and some things that we wish more people knew. So when we look at the concept, if they knew what we knew, they would do what we do, right? What's a big idea or a major premise that you wish more people knew when it came to birth or choices around it?
Yeah. So part of the reason I got into chiropractic at all was because of the philosophy, but I feel like its philosophy kind of feeds into my philosophy surrounding pregnancy and birth, and that is that our bodies were literally designed for this. And I know that we all come upon our own set of challenges and struggles to, become parents, but ultimately, there's purpose in the waiting when that is a thing, but also, I love reiterating to my practice members, you were literally designed for this. So
Purpose in the waiting. I got to go back to that because that's there's always these little nuggets that I'm like, that one. What's that mean to you?
Yeah. So I feel like my journey with faith has been one that, like a lot of people's, that's kind of been all over the place. And after losing our mother, I definitely had a crisis of belief. But as I've kind of come back to God and journeyed deeper into my faith, I've realized that all of our pain is purposeful, and that it's in those moments that we lean more on not our own understanding, but on, how we were made or, the gifts that he's given us in order to come to peace with the circumstances that we've been dealt.
And learn the lessons of.
Right.
And so when we look at that and you apply it, we go back, I had my first son when I was 21. I had no idea that there were options when it came to birth, right? It's I'm pregnant, so I need that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, and I go to my doctor and I check in, and then I go to the hospital and I get the epidural, and it's that's what I do because that's what you do. That was my only understanding of it, which is ultimately what led me into pediatric chiropractic because of my first birth experience, which opened up Pandora's box, right? Because that's not the only option.
No.
So if you operate from a premise that you were designed for, we have a womb, you're designed, you don't have to tell your body how to grow a baby. It is innately guided through that process. There's a wisdom in you. What are some of those options? How has that played out in your birth experiences? Or what are some options, real life choices that you wish more people knew about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, that there's different environments, different providers. But I've done a lot of different. My first birth was in a hospital. My second birth was at Yoder Birth Center. My husband jokes that our son was born in a barn because there's, literally a horse barn out behind Yoder Birth Center. But I've had the birth center experience. I've had the hospital experience. Haven't had a home birth experience. Yeah, so, right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just that I hope that women and you know, families realize that it doesn't have to be done the way that it looks in the movies. And that there's a lot of power in, you know, tuning into that intuition, that mother's intuition of where do I belong? Because there was a point in my third birth I thought was going to be at home. And the season didn't call for a home birth, and I trusted my intuition, and I had a hospital birth, and it was still beautiful. Right. But, you know, I was grateful for the choices that I had in that season. So trust your intuition and know that there are more options than what it looks like in, you know.
And I always think, I get a visual of, is there a name, Marie Kondo? Am I saying that right? Right? Where you like hold it to your, where you hold it to your heart. It's like, does this bring me joy? When we say intuition, that's it is a real scientific thing. And so like when you take these choices, these big birth choices, and you hold it to your heart and say, like she said, season, right? Like it's not one way. I think that is a COVID blessing, is that we are being exposed to all the different vantage points. Right. And I know we both have a number. Have you seen a baby boom?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Whoa. There are some people not socially distancing during these times. And they're, you know, when you're at home, I mean, lots of pregnant mamas, lots of new babies. But I'm also seeing a lot of babies in stress. I mean, I've always helped with colic and constipation and some of these things, you know, that come with birth trauma. But there's a different stress on moms and babies. And some of it, I think, is they're still pigeoned into at the hospital. You know, some hospitals won't allow partners in. Right. Some hospitals have really intense regulations. And so I've talked to local midwives, and they're seeing an influx late in the game. I actually have a patient that delivered recently, and 2 weeks out, she decided to be at home but she held it to her heart and went, this brings me joy. And the baby was born beautifully, and mom and baby are doing amazing. And so we just want to create conversation. Right. You're going to, in the show notes, get some notes from her and I of like, you know, birth options and how to seek out, you know, different ideas and different books and resources. And let's talk about trust, because I hope she will share a few pictures from her births. But she's not normal. Like, she like no crying, no screaming. It's like I've been privileged to be at 3 of the 4, 3 of the 5. Yes, yep. So I've been at 3 of the 5 births with her, and I mean, legit, it's like we're just hanging out, and here's this human, like this euphoric. She's designed for it, but it's because, from an outsider perspective, it's because you are in rhythm and harmony and trust with your body and your babies. Right. Talk to that. What's that? How'd you get there, and what's that like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even before, you know, my journey with my faith, I just have had this really strong connection to my body knows what it's supposed to do. And then getting to experience, you know, my first birth, I wouldn't say that anything went wrong. It all went the way that it was supposed to. And I do think that it's important to say, you know, approach your situation without judgment. I, you know, had every plan to, you know, not to have an unmedicated birth, and for it to just go perfectly. And it was a really long labor, and I ended up getting the epidural. But it did make me realize in my next birth that I needed something outside of the hospital setting, because I needed to lean into that trust that I knew that I had for my body, that in the hospital setting, I felt like I wasn't set up for success because I didn't have an understanding of where I was at in the process and how to physically set myself up for the birth that I wanted. And I remember in my second birth, my midwife telling me, Haley, don't fight the contractions, let your body sink into them. And my number one piece of advice when I talk to mothers who are preparing for birth is remember your breathing, remember to think about your breathing and let your body sink into those contractions, because we have this tendency to want to like get really rigid because it hurts so bad. But if we can let ourselves sink into it and let our voice go lower, I've seen something also that says that when our jaw is relaxed, it correlates to our pelvic floor.
Beautiful.
So when you're having those moments of like really intense pain, sinking into that and knowing that every one of those contractions is one more step to meeting your baby,
You can go right back to that moment, can't you? Like, even when I was like, I'm like, oh, man. It's intense. And we've been taught our whole life to avoid pain.
Right.
Pain's bad. When in reality, and like, we both know Ginger Young, who I've had on here before, where it's like you said, it's taking you one step closer, and it's through the pain, with the pain, that it's just part of it. And we were designed to handle it. And as we're going to be back here more regularly, the two of us together, because we could go on and on. But when we look at a major premise, if more mothers were championed, supported, guided, nurtured through becoming, in trust with their body to the birth process, then babies are born in a different emotional state.
Right.
A different vibrational state. If there's more stress on mom, there's more stress. I mean, so if we talk quantum, right? And so literally doubling down as practitioners and as moms to have these conversations and to talk through options and support one another in all of this changes the future, it changes the babies.
Yeah.
And so next step of the conversation will be like ... where this trajectory goes. But I hope that opening this premise goes, wait, I don't have to give birth that way if I don't want to, in any regard,
right.
And so talk directly to the mom. If you had one message to the moms, because we're moms, we serve a lot of moms, we're women. And so we have that, and they've gone through a lot in the last year.
Right.
And that, like, it's been a tough gauntlet. And so they're in the storm. It's not clear yet. What do you say to the mama bears to steady themselves as they, as we all birth ourselves through this COVID learning experience?
Right. I would say take a minute to yourself and close your eyes. Let yourself be non-judgmental of your circumstances and, even your fears. It's okay if you're, like I said, in the season of life that you feel like you need a little bit more support or you want to be in the hospital. Remove any judgment and ask yourself, what do I want from this experience? And take a minute to talk to your partner. If that's a part of your circumstances, take a minute to talk to your partner and ask them. I've been blessed that my husband has told me, it's up to you. And I appreciate that, but I think it's important for men to feel like they're a part of the conversation and the experience. Or partners in general, but I definitely encourage moms to just approach the entire process non-judgmentally and ask yourself what kind of memories you want to have from the experience and what kind of environment do you want to bring your baby into. What feels the most right in your system for the season that you're in. So that would be my primary message to all, women preparing for birth, whether you're already pregnant, whether you're trying, or it's just something that, you'll want someday down the road.
And then to women in general. Mamas.
Yeah. So, like we kind of touched on about 2020 being, a year for us to birth all kinds of new things. It was painful. It was, not always pretty. But I feel like this last year was so important for us as women to experience, and as I kind of said at the beginning, realize the purpose in our struggles and in our pain. So, women, you're not alone. I know that that's been something that we've experienced in our mama group, is that, you're not alone. You're never alone. And you are powerful beyond measure. And it's all right in here. You just have to sometimes lean on others or go within to find that power.
Beautiful. Lean into the contraction, yes.
Yes.
Because this is how we meet our future self. So you can see why I love her so much. You can catch both of us, Tyler and Kellogg, in Wichita, Kansas, at Astra Chiropractic and Acupuncture in the Lighthouse. And we're going to open some spaces. And, as sisters in chiropractic and in life, we get to share a lot of conversations. And we've decided we want to invite you into some of those places so that we can have a more expansive reach of where we're all headed from here. So I love you. If we can support you in any way, or you have any questions in this birth conversation or any conversation in general, reach out. I love you. I appreciate you. Mwah!